takeover is basically when you have someone at a higher position in ranking that's going to get on the phone and help take over that call to close the deal, right? This is important because it's just something that over the years I realized developed into what's called now an authority takeover, right? When I first started expanding, right, I had opened 5 offices before I actually opened the call center, right? And I was flying around from this office to that office and, you know, just keeping it all under control because each office had their own sales department. Okay, eventually I opened the call center to where we brought it all in before I opened any additional locations and handled that at one place. But at this point, I was, you know, needing to go to these different offices. And, you know, one of the first things that I would do when I got there is I wanted to get the sales team going, right? Yes, I wanted to check on operations. Yes, I wanted to see how the warehouse was going. Yes, I wanted to look at everything. But I needed to make sure that I kind of reinvigorated the sales team again. So I would ask them, I'd say, hey, listen, why don't you bring me a few estimates of people that you quoted yesterday or the day before that they needed to think about it. Let me call them and talk to them and see what I could do, right? So I'd sit with all the moving sales consultants right there, and I'd sit at a desk and I'd pick up a phone and I would call these customers and I'd say, hi, how you doing? This is Louis. I'm the owner of the company. I know you spoke to Susie yesterday and I just wanted to follow up with you to see how that conversation went. You know, find out if there's anything else I could do for you, right? What do we need to do to earn your business, right? That type of thing. We're going to talk about the authority takeovers, but that's what I would do. And you know what it did? More than anything, because I couldn't be in 5 locations at once, right? I couldn't do that in each location, and I didn't have a dedicated sales manager in each location at that time, okay? So, but what it did was it showed them that I was in it with them, all right? And they saw that and they got excited. And what it also did, besides fire them up, when they saw me come in, first thing I did was help them close deals that they were having trouble closing, is it provided an opportunity for training, right? Additional training, because when they hear me at that point, or they hear you come in and start helping them close deals that they weren't able to close, let me tell you something, nothing will turn the frowns upside down quicker than that. Nothing will make your sales team more excited than when they see you or your manager or somebody come in and help them get deals closed, but they'll also be listening, right? They'll also watch and listen and say, oh, wow, you said that. And oh, that was, you know, even though some of this stuff would be in their rebuttal book, all right, to hear it in action and to hear how it, you know, you flowed from one to the next, that lasted for a while after I left, okay? So once I, you know, got all the sales centralized into a call center, right, one location for all the offices, I made authority callbacks part of everyday business, because what I realized by doing it, right, because at first all I was trying to do was book jobs, get the team fired up, and provide some additional training by them hearing me. But I realized that the customers loved it too, right? I realized that not only was I internally helping, but the customer was like, oh wow, I'm speaking to the owner, right? And then later on, they're like, oh wow, I'm speaking to the manager. It just becomes, you know, it's something that really helps close deals, right? We're gonna talk about it. So it's so important. Let's get into authority takeovers and how you could start implementing it into your business. So first, what is an authority takeover? It's when a higher ranking employee takes over a sales call from the moving consultant or follows up with a potential customer on behalf of the moving consultant and attempts to close the deal, okay? Who can perform an authority takeover? So we talked about me doing it, right? And calling back as the owner. And obviously that's the most powerful way you can do it, right? If you as the owner call back customers and you say you're the owner of the business, that's gonna be the most powerful, but you're not the only person that can do an authority takeover, all right? Remember, it's just somebody that has to be higher ranking than the person they originally spoke to, all right? So a sales manager, this is the best use of your sales manager's time to make these calls, all right? An operations manager. You know, a lot of companies don't have a sales manager and an operations manager. They might just have an operations manager, somebody that's managing the whole business, all right? They'd be a great person to make that call as well. Dispatcher, all right? Listen, it's another voice. It's somebody else in a different department, all right? On the cusp for the customer, that's big, all right? And if you have a dispatcher that's good on the phone, that is able to call back, your dispatcher could do it as well. The owner, we talked about that. That's probably the most powerful one. Concierge. Once I realized the power of the authority takeover, we had a concierge in our call center that their only job was to basically do this, do authority takeovers. All right, we're going to talk about what they said in a minute, but their only job was to call back customers and try to get them booked. An associate or a colleague, right? So let's say it's just you and a few sales consultants, right? And there's no sales manager or operations manager or dispatcher or concierge. You know, one consultant can call back for the other consultant, right? And say, you know, I'm an associate or I'm a colleague of Susie's, and I was just calling you back to see how that conversation went, right? You get the idea. It doesn't have to be an owner or a manager if you don't have that. The point is that by using the authority takeover, all right, if you remember going back to the 5X follow-up, on that third follow-up is when you would actually do this, right? So the third follow-up would be performed by one of these people, all right? So you also have a customer satisfaction manager, all right? So if you have somebody in customer service and they call and they say, listen, I'm the customer satisfaction manager, I just wanted to call and make sure that, you know, my consultant answered all your questions. These are the people who could actually do it. So it doesn't have to be you, the owner, right? At first when I started, it was me and it wasn't enough, right? I would just use it as a means to book more moves, get my team fired up, training. But then when I realized the power of it, I knew that I needed more people involved, all right? So why is this so important? It shows the customer their move is important to the company, you know? Imagine that, you know, they get a call from the owner or manager, anybody that we talked about, and now somebody else is calling them and saying, you know, do you have any additional questions? Is there anything I can answer for you? How did they do on the estimate? You know, what could we do to earn your business, right? It shows that their move is important to the company. People love talking to the top dog, right? Period. People love, I know the manager there, or I know the owner. They want to speak to somebody of a higher authority, right? It's why it's called an authority takeover. All right, so they love talking to the top dog. So when they get a call back from someone that's above who they already spoke to, and who they already spoke to was really amazing on the phone, and it just goes a long way, right? This is all to start leading towards booking more jobs, right? And this actually will help you with training and get your team fired up, which we'll talk about as well. This is the best use of your sales manager's time, okay? So, you know, your sales manager essentially is the quarterback of your sales operation, all right? And if you don't have a sales manager now, next week we're gonna get into sales control and sales management, and you'll start to see that regardless of the size of your company, that you may start being able to justify a sales manager with all of these extra things that they could be in charge of. They're gonna help you book more work that are gonna more than pay for their salary. Okay, so, but this is a great use of their time. Instead of just kind of overseeing what's going on, they're calling people back and trying to get deals booked, all right? You'll book more moves. It increases morale and gets your sales team fired up. There's nothing that gets them more fired up than this, all right? So even if you as the owner have a sales manager and they're doing this day to day, every once in a while, step out where your sales, all your sales consultants are. Get on the phone, ask them for a few deals that they're having trouble closing, and get them on the phone, all right? Even if you don't get all, don't be nervous that you might. I didn't close every single one of them. It wasn't like out of a movie where I got on the phone and closed every one and said, give me another one, closed every one. I did a pretty good job of closing a good amount, but there were days where I didn't close any of them, right? But they still appreciate the help and the camaraderie that comes with that, and they're gonna get fired up from that, all right? So use this as a tool for that as well. When your sales team seems a little down and out, get out there and start making some calls for them. Instead of taking new leads, your time is better to be used, you as the owner or manager. It's better to call back and try to close someone that's already been given an estimate, right? Because your time is more valuable as the owner of the company or the manager of the company. And for you to spend time giving an estimate, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, you're better off letting someone else do that and then coming in and just trying to close the deal, all right? And it acts as training for consultants on overcoming objections. So it's like real live on-the-job training to overcome objections and use rebuttals. All right, so let's talk about the type of authority takeovers that are available. All right, you have different people that can do it. Let's talk about what these different people would say when they do make the calls. So a manager call takeover, right? So that means that they take over the call, like your sales consultant is on the call and they take over that call instead of following up. All right, so if they're having trouble overcoming an objection and your manager is available, he can step in and take over the call, essentially signal to the moving consultant, let me talk to him, and they'll say, you know what, hold on one second, my manager actually wants to talk to you, he'll be able to help better explain this. That's a takeover, all right? Reassurance, right? So it's just, even if someone's on the phone and the manager's available and able to get on the call and say, hey, listen, I just want to let you know I'm here for you as well, right? This is for a customer, maybe they booked already or maybe they still haven't booked, but reassurance, I'm here for you as well. I just want to let you know if you need anything, Susie or John or whoever will be able to help you. But you could also call me directly. I just want to let you know we're all here, all right? If it's a new consultant and they're fumbling and they're having a little trouble on a call, the manager could take over that call, all right? Don't let that lead, if you see the call is going down in flames and it's just nothing's good coming out of it and your sales consultant's starting to sweat and it's just like they're not handling it, you need to take that over. Don't allow them to get off the phone and let that opportunity go. Price drop commitment. So when you give discounts, all right, when your moving consultants give discounts, it should never be, hey, what if I give you a discount, right? If you're going to give a discount, you need to get a commitment from the customer, all right? So if the manager gets on the phone and says, I understand you had a few issues about the price, you got some lower quotes, yeah, this company was a few dollars an hour cheaper. Well, tell you what, if we're able to go ahead and lower it and get our price down, would you be able to go ahead and set your move up today? Right? You need to get a commitment from them. Don't ever drop the price without a commitment. All right? Don't say, we're willing to go lower, and they say, okay, thank you. And now they take that lower quote and go use that to talk to another company to get an even lower quote. So every time you drop the price, you have to get a commitment, all right? So if the sales consultant is talking to a customer and the customer says, can you do any better? Can you go down from $115 an hour to $110 an hour, let's just say as an example? Sales consultant should say, well, you know what? Let me check with my manager, but before I do that, if he is able to approve that, I need to let him know that you're ready to set this up today. So if I can get it down to 110, are you ready to set this up today? Because that's the only way I might be able to get them to do it. All right, so always make sure there's a commitment there. Manager follow-up takeover. All right, so the previous screen was on, the sales consultant's on a call and the manager takes over the call. This is when you do a follow-up. All right, so this is basically calling a customer back after the fact. And they could say, your moving consultant was discussing your move with me, right? That could be essentially the start of, that's the type of conversation. That's like where you would head with the conversation. And it makes them feel important. It makes them feel like, oh wow, like I was speaking to, Joe, and Joe actually went to his manager and was discussing the concerns with me, right? And when the manager sees all the notes in the system, right, that the moving consultant should be putting in there about everything, we even talked earlier about the poodle, putting the poodle in there, then, you know, the manager's able to make that call, and it feels as if you really had a big meeting about their move, about their unique move, okay? Following up to make sure the moving consultant answered all your questions, all right? So this is a call that would be essentially like part of your 5X follow-up when you do the authority takeover. You know, so, hi, I'm the manager. I'm just calling to make sure that, you know, John answered all your questions, see if there's anything else I could help you with, all right? So that's what that is. Now, there's an owner call takeover, all right? So as the owner, if you got on the phone and just said, you know, if the consultant said, hey, you know, hold on 1 second, the owner just wants to say hello, all right? And you just introduce yourself, you thank them for giving you the opportunity, let them know that if there's anything that they need, you're here for them, right? That goes a long way as the owner, right? They're not just talking to somebody, like the owner's there and making sure things are gonna go right for them. That's a big one, all right? Overcoming objections as well. Reassurance as well, right? I mean, you know, any type of authority getting on the phone and giving them reassurance is good, but if the owner gets on the call and says, hey, listen, I know you're concerned about this or you're concerned about that, but let me tell you, I'm gonna personally make sure that all of that is handled and that your move goes smooth as could be, all right? This is all about booking jobs, right? These are all strategies and techniques to book more moves. So now the owner follow-up, right? That was just, if they took over the exact call. This is the follow-up, calling back, right? So same thing. So as the owner, you could sit and pull up all the estimates that were given yesterday that didn't book or a few days ago and give them a call back and just say, hey, I just want to call and introduce myself. My name's Lewis, I'm the owner. You know, I just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to earn your business and let you know that I'm here for you. If you need anything, you know, let me know. Are there any questions that I could personally answer for you at this time? Huge, guys. All of this stuff is huge. Your moving consultant was discussing your move with me. We talked about this with the manager, right? It makes them feel important. It makes them feel like you were having a meeting about their move and their unique moving needs. Following up to make sure your moving consultant answered all your questions. Concierge, follow-up takeover. So like the concierge wouldn't take over a call, they would do a follow-up takeover, like call back after, all right? So a concierge would say something like, do you need any assistance with anything like your change of address, utilities, information on the area you're moving to, packing material, that type of thing. They're calling to help them with stuff that has to do with, you know, outside of you moving them. What else could they help you with? So at this point, they're not even a customer yet, but you have someone calling them back, asking them if you could help assist them in their change of address. I mean, all this stuff could be done online, right? And it's a very, you know, easy thing to do if you're gonna get more moves out of it, all right? Like I said, we had somebody doing this full time, but we also were doing a lot of business out of one office. But this is big, right? Because it's like, wow, I'm getting a lot of value from this company. I haven't even set up my move with them yet, and they're willing to help me with all of this, all right? Dispatcher, all right? So your dispatcher could call back and do a follow-up and say something like, I saw that you had a tentative reservation set up. I have one of my best crews available that day and would love to send them on your move, right? So now here's the guy that's gonna be in charge of, you know, sending out the crews, calling to say, hey, I'm looking at your move. I have some great guys, like my best guys that are gonna be available. I wanna send them to you. You know, it's another way of getting the deal closed. Remember, you might have a small office. You might have a large office, but everybody's busy, okay? Doing an authority callback does not have to be limited to just an owner or a manager, okay? Spread it out to other people in the office. You know, I know dispatchers a lot of times are not busy at the same time that sales is busy, right? You could, you know, fill the day a little bit depending on how many you have and what the workload is like. There are times where they'll have some time to make some calls, all right? during this call, bring up something in their inventory, their piano or their grandfather clock, and say they're experts in moving this, right? So if you're an expert piano mover and you see that they have a piano, let the dispatcher bring that up, right? Just as a sense of reassurance. Customer satisfaction, follow-up takeover. So this is somebody in customer service that's going to call back after the estimate was already given and say something like, they're going to do a survey call, right? So they'll say something like, on a scale from 1 to 10, how did we do giving you an estimate, right? So this is something that normally you would do after the move. You would find out, how did we do on your move? But if you haven't even booked the customer yet and somebody calls back and wants to know just how you did giving them an estimate, that could help and go a long way too. What's your biggest concern at this time? Customer service is probably not your strongest sales, but they're probably really, really good at answering questions for customers, right? Like, what's your concern? And they know the ins and outs of they should know the ins and out of the move itself and like how the process goes. And they could just be another friendly voice for them to talk to and help answer some questions. What could we do to earn your business? While you're on the call, you got to ask, what could we do to earn your business? Tell me. As a customer, satisfaction manager, let me go see what I could do, right? If they tell you what you could do to earn your business, let me go talk to the moving consultant, or let me go talk to the sales manager and see what we could do for you, all right? An associate or a colleague, right? Listen, if there's no owner, there's no manager, there's no dispatcher, there's no concierge, right? Customer service. Just another moving consultant can call another moving consultant's customers, right? As an authority, right? So, you could kind of work as a team and call each other's estimates, all right? If you're an authority's unavailable, anyone could call and say, I work with so-and-so, right? They don't need to say I'm the manager, I'm the owner, or anything like that. Like, don't lie to them, but you just, hi, this is Louis. I work with John over at the moving company. He was talking to me about your move, and I just wanted to see if I could help you a little bit, see if you had any questions, right? Just the way that you say that to the customer makes them feel that you're an authority. You don't have to tell them you're an owner or a manager. You work with their moving consultant, right? So now there's two people working on their move. It makes them feel really important about it, right? So let's talk about when you should use authority takeovers, all right? If a consultant is struggling on a call, get them off, take them off the call if you can, if you're available, and help them get through it, all right? Day 3 of your estimate follow-up process. So the 5X follow-up, day 3 of that is when you want to do an authority callback. If the consultant falls behind on their estimate follow-up, so if they're doing their 5X follow-up and they can't keep up with that, you might need to jump in and take over some of their follow-ups. All right, so if they get really backed up, you might have to take half of their follow-ups and do it for them as an authority. All right, but it's a great opportunity to book more jobs. If a consultant is out sick and they're not able to get to their follow-ups, you definitely want to make those calls. To secure a larger move. I mean, listen, if you have somebody on the phone and they're talking about a major move that, the consultant's been working on, and it's, I don't know, I've had a move that was $60,000. Maybe you've had moves larger than that. But, if you have a big move, and it doesn't even have to be that big, if it's a $5,000 move or a $10,000 move or whatever, but if it's something where it's like, hey, we need to get this move, get an authority on the call and get the deal closed. All right, to fill the calendar for certain days, right? So if your whole team is busy and somebody's available, a manager or an owner, that could say, we're really slow on that Tuesday, the 6th of the month. Let me look at all the leads, all the estimates that we gave for that day. Let me call them back directly and try to get that day full. Anytime an authority is available, right? This is, this should be part of your day-to-day sales routine, right? Maybe you're not there yet, right? Maybe, you need to grow a little bit before you have somebody dedicated. but you don't need somebody dedicated, right? Remember, it could be an associate, it could be anybody. So by having, if you have a sales manager, they should be spending a lot of time doing this, all right? So anytime an authority is available, do it, right? Even as the owner, if it's not consistent, that's all right. You have a lot on your hands. There's a lot to be responsible for. Owning a moving company, maybe one day a week, maybe not even the full day. Maybe you take 2 hours every week at a certain time, and you go sit with your sales team. You get some, you get some of the estimates they're working on, and you help them get them closed. That'll help spark the energy throughout the whole week. All right. So get your team fired up and training. All right. So this is, when you do this, let me tell you, as the owner, if you go out there and you sit with your sales team and you start making calls, all right, don't just call leads and waste your time. All right, you have people you pay to call leads. All right, find out who they spoke to, find out the good deals, find out the people that might need an extra voice to get it closed, and make some calls. Even if you can't do it all the time, even if it's once a month, do it. Right? Try it. I mean, that's something that as we with the authority takeovers, you need to just jump in. So if you're not doing this right away, start. All right? Just really today, tomorrow, in the next couple days, go and spend an hour and say to your sales team, you know what? Give me a list of a few people that you guys could use some help, that really could use an extra voice, right? And don't go in your office and call them, right? Get a desk or a phone if you have it nearby where they sit, right, if you can, and sit and let them hear you call and just say, hey, my name's Louis, I'm the owner of the company. I just want to follow up with you. I know you were talking to John yesterday. He was actually talking to me about your move, and we just want to see, what else we could do to help you, right? Do that. Use the rebuttals and the overcoming objections to get the deals booked, and you're going to start to see a big, big difference, because when the morale starts to go up and you start booking more jobs and there's training opportunity, it's like it's like a double whammy. It's just really, you get a lot of bang for your buck doing the authority takeovers. All right. So listen, we're at the end of week 3. All right. I just have to say that I really honor you for being here, because you're somebody that's like me. You're dedicated to your ongoing education. You realize the importance of not staying stagnant in your business and learning new ideas and techniques and strategies and processes to where you could take your business to the next level. And by being here at the end of the last video of week 3, halfway through Moving Sales Academy, it tells me you're dedicated to taking your business to the next level. And I just want to congratulate you for that, right? Because not a lot of people do the work. Not a lot of people, everybody wants it, but not everybody does the work. And I know it's not easy. And I know there's a lot of change that we're probably talking about here, and a lot of new things that need to get implemented, right? But just take it one step at a time. Realize that all these videos, all these worksheets and downloads, this is all here for you. All right, if you need to download the audio version and put it on your iPad, on your iPod, and listen to it, or listen to it in the car, it's there, right? So don't feel that you have to grasp all this right away, right? Just know that if I already know, if you're here watching me right now at the end of week 3, you're somebody that's going to take your business to the next level. Wherever you're at now, if you're just starting out, you're going up. If you already have 5, 10 locations, you're going to be nationwide before long, all right? Just keep going, keep doing the work. I'm going to see you next week. Next week's a big, big week. We're talking about sales control, how to control all of this, right? Because right now it might seem like there's really so much out there. You're like, if I implement this and that and this and that, how am I going to make sure everybody's doing it? Next week is all about sales control, sales management, sales meetings, just making sure that you have control over this whole moving sales machine. You're building something powerful here, and we need to make sure that you can, keep it harnessed and keep it under control, all right? And we're going to do that next week. So until then, profit in business, thrive in life. I'll see you next week.